I don't know about y'all. I don't know about y'all. It's that day. Live, live at 5. It's time to testify. It's time to testify. Come on now. Are you with me? Come on now. Hey. All right now. All right now. Hey man, welcome to Live at 5. This every Thursday going down live at 5. And I'm telling y'all, we got something for us today. I got one of my brothers on. Let me get him. I'm telling y'all, man, get ready to be blessed because just love hearing what God is doing in his people's lives to bring heaven down on earth through our testimonies. Let us get our brother on. Let me get our brother on.
What's up?
Hey,
What's up with it now?
oh now.
What you got going,
Hey,
man?
it ain't nothing, man. Hey, man, I got my brother Drex on. What's up now?
Hey, one day at a
Everybody,
time. You know what it is. One day at a time.
hey, man, one day at a time. Hey, what's up now, bro? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you too, fam.
Man, I letting everybody know, man, what's amazing. And we might get into this, man, that me and Drexel went to school together, and just amazing. It's a
Yeah.
testimony in itself how God brought that around 20 years later.
Man.
We may have time to get into that, but man, I just want to welcome our own brother Drex to the show. Man, I'm telling y'all,
Yes, sir.
man, it's a blessing that we have him on, and I know that God is just doing and has done some marvelous works in his life. So let's open this thing up, brother Drex. Brother Drex, let me just ask you this question. Before we even get into it, how did you come to know the Lord? I'm always interested in the dynamic testimonies of how God touched or God. How did He come into your life? How did
You
you
know,
come to that place? Talk to us about
so for me, it was I grew up with the Lord in my life, but knowing for myself, it was like a transition of being a kid and being introduced to the Lord to knowing the Lord for yourself.
it. Yeah.
It's a difference, and my big mama was a missionary. So I grew up
Oh
with a
wow.
with a woman who, man, bro, just I never seen her raise her voice. She didn't wear skirts above her above too far above her ankles. I never seen her in a pair of pants. Like, she was holy. Like
Mm.
in every definition of it, she was holy. My mom's mom, even her, like the way she believed in the Lord. One taught me Psalms 23, and the other taught me our Father's Prayer. So that's kind of how I go. And my
Oh wow.
grandfather, I would get up with him in the morning when my mom was working. I would get up with him in the morning, and as he drinking his coffee, he's singing old hymns. My mom's father. So it was like all around me. I didn't
Mm.
really uh God was introduced to me early, bro, and I'm thankful for it. I remember
Mm.
my mama. She was something else, but my mom's mom, she was something else. But when my grandfather was praying, and she would be like, "Hey, baby, be quiet while he praying." She was respectful of his prayers.
Mm.
She was respectful of the Lord, and even like homework and stuff. The same way she taught me homework, she taught me prayers you know. So it's kind of like I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that foundation from them. And my mom, of course,
Mm.
my mom is a president of the usher board. Been in the church for a long time now. Uh, she
Mm.
man been in the church for a long time, prayed for me so much. At one point I got so bad off in the street, she told me, "Baby, we living a saved life here. You can't bring all that here." And I respect it nowadays. Back then I was like, "Man, my mama just told me go on by my business," basically. But nah,
Mm.
it's something to see that she was praying for me, and that she wasn't willing to justify my sin. She wasn't willing to affirm it, but she loved me through it all. So I'm thankful for my
Mm,
mom, and I'm even my dad. Because when I tell my testimony, I got to preference that, because testimonies can be rough on the people that are involved in it too, because
oh,
we
talk.
lose sight of
Yeah.
what they were going through. You know what I'm talking about? And
Mm, that's good.
life ain't always where that doesn't that's not a true reference of who they are. So if I tell my testimony
Mm,
and I say, at this point in my life, this is how it is, without purpose, man, how much my mom did for me, and how much growth I've had, and understanding in that time, how much, even where my dad is in life, the things that he told me, that he instilled in me, like just where you go,
mm.
make sure you take God wherever you go. You know, that's one of the things that sticks with me
Man,
with my
no,
dad through all of it. So yeah.
no, that's good. You had said some things. I'll write some things down.
Hmm.
You had mentioned the street life, and
Hmm.
that your mother still showed you love.
Hmm.
So, even though you was brought up around it, you got pulled
Hmm.
into a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. Talk to us about, that life. How did you get caught up in that lifestyle? When, hey, you know what, big mama doing this, mom and dad are doing this. Tell us about that. How in that lifestyle. Talk to us about it.
Well, it's kind of like that thing that we talked about yesterday. Where we was talking
Hmm.
so strongly about how people know the Lord, but still they live off of the grace, and it's a fine line between grace and justifying sins. That was all around me. So although my big mama was like
Mm,
this, my some of the things my dad was doing, some of the things my uncles was doing, some of the things that was going on around, it's not all fully holy and sanctified. And then not only that, I'm being introduced to my own life as I'm growing. I'm developing my own mind and my own thoughts. And it's like as things start to go on, and that's why I preference about my mom and my dad, because I don't want to. I would never want to dishonor them by saying that they were just this and that, you know. But it was like my mom
yeah.
worked 3 jobs a day at one point in time, So it's kind of hard to keep up
Mhm.
with a boy transitioning to a teenager, And my sister,
Yeah.
especially my sister, was dying of lupus. So my only
Mm,
biological sibling, I lost when I was 18 years old. But from the time that I was 11, 10 or 11, and the time she was 14 years old, she was in and out of hospital. So you're talking about, I got a mom that's working 2 and 3 jobs, and not only she working 2 and 3 jobs, she's spending half of that time, and when she's not there, that's not very many hours, at Scottish Rite. Or she having to take time off, and she's stressing about how this is gonna be done, how that's gonna be done.
mm,
You don't take that into account when
yeah.
you're little. I want you at my football games. I want you here. I want you there. You know. So that's why
Mm,
I say I have to preface my testimony is one of growth. It's not one of man, woe is me. I'm a victim. It's one of, I had to learn. I had to truly
yeah.
live from faith to faith. You know, like
Yeah.
where I came to know the Lord, I came to understand where forgiveness was. I came to understand where uh that was the need to be able to look in the mirror at the man that I was, and where my
Mm,
fault was, like, I can't justify everything by being a victim in life. So the testimony is really
yeah.
about being built up. Like my dad was on drugs, but at one point we had some of everything, you know, and
Mm,
just to grow and to have those conversations and recognize those conversations now is something big to me. So yeah, my testimony, it starts out like that. Uh, when you ask the question, how did you end up getting like this? I didn't I didn't always have my mom in the house because she was dealing with what was going on with my sister, trying to pay the bills. My dad is out here, and
yeah.
I started straying to the streets. At first, it started out as just regular little naive stuff, running around, you know, knocking on doors and running and stuff. Then you start to venture into smoking a little weed with everybody and chilling and kicking it with everybody. And at one point it's like uh the hood is the hood. Say so the hood banging and this is
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
doing. So everybody in the hood represent this. So it was at one point some of the older dudes, man, you want to get down? And it's like, no, man, I don't
Mhm.
gang bang. That was my initial response, man. I don't gang bang. No, man, you don't understand, man. You want to get down, man. All you gotta do is fight them to man. I don't gang bang, but I'll fight them. And it's like, nah, bro, cause you
Mm.
don't get it. Like you don't get it. Like we the homies, and it's really a bunch of us that's just out running wild and
Yeah,
misguided, the blind leading the blind. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you
yeah,
venture into the street life coming from that background. All it takes is just a offset of events. My sister is down to lupus. My daddy is now on drugs from where he used to work a good construction job. Started building the high rises in Dallas in the '80s and stuff. Had an accident, had a big
yeah,
lawsuit that he just went downhill with partying on. To my
yeah.
mom now working 3 jobs. I'm left to really fend for myself and figure it out. At
Man,
times. And go ahead.
now you said, because you said, man, that's why I said it's really, man, that's why I said, man, we had these brothers on, man, in the Lord. I want to talk about that a little bit because, you know, oftentimes that's not discussed of how that impacted you having a sibling, a younger sister,
She's
you
my
know,
older sister.
in
She's
that
my big
condition.
sister.
Then older sister.
Yeah.
Okay. So older sister
hmm
and seeing her go through what she's going through at the same time, your mother, how that's impacting her. How did that, you share, how did that impact you as a man in the house, seeing your mother, seeing your sister go through it and to experience all of that? Like what impact did that have on you? Do you remember some things of what, of how that impacted you? Because a lot of times, man, that's, I don't know if they told you like, eventually she gonna pass. I don't, you know, work through those things. Like how did that, talk to
It
us about
was
it.
it was a back and forth experience to where I am enjoying my sister and half the stuff when I was out about in the street, I would jump in the car with my sister and ride to South Dallas, ride to the West, ride wherever she was going, Oak Cliff, wherever she was going. She was my big sister. Her and her boyfriend, like wherever they were going, I was going. I was going with them at one point, you know, and
Mm,
so it was kind of like a roller when those times when I was being hard headed and getting kicked out of the house at a young age. My sister would be the one that would come find me for Christmas time and bring me back.
yeah,
I went one point in time. I went like 8 months in the same city, and I didn't see my mom because I was mad and I was prideful, and I don't want to talk. I don't want. Okay, you said go. I'm gone. You know and it
mm,
just it went like that. And so it made me at some point in time, I would being a child, I was resentful, like, oh, she cared about my sister more than she cared about me. But the reality of it is, bro, I am spending
mm,
this is from my mom's, and we never even had to talk about this. I just one day went to my mom and said, Mama, I understand now. But I laid
wow,
it out.
wow,
Mom, this is what I understood. I'm sorry, Mom. I apologize. She didn't have to apologize to me for what I went through, because what God did in me, man, He showed me like you can't be
mm,
selfish. Like you can't be selfish about what other people are going through too, even though you were a child then. And that's one thing that somebody told me when I was raising my kid. Man, that's a child. But my kid did the same thing to me later on, came back and told me. So it's like the honor that you show your mother, you reap what you sow. It came back to me.
yeah,
Well, my daughter came back and said, Daddy, I'm sorry. I seen it. But I think if I had been the same rebellious kid the whole time, it wouldn't, my kids wouldn't be the way they are. I'm thankful that God revealed what He revealed to me. But getting back to what you saying, how it felt like. At times I was resentful of it. At times I was just like I said, I was out and about in the streets, riding to the clubs, getting in the clubs early, uh, 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 riding with my sister. She had an old Acura Legend back in the day. You know, that was the thing that had the car to have back in 94, 95. You know, so
Yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
96, 97. She had a champagne Acura Legend, tinted up and stuff. And me with the sunroof, me, her, and her boyfriend. Every once in a while, we would ride around. I call him my brother-in-law. You know, he just recently passed. You knew Big J. You know, he
Yeah,
recently
yeah.
passed. So it's like that was hurtful too, because that was part of my childhood, who I had to lean on, so I can go talk to my
Mm,
sister and them about stuff that I was going on. That's why I say I acted like a big little brother all the time. That's what people would
mm.
say. Because I fight you behind my sister, you know. But at the same time, she was my big sister, you know. So
Yeah, yeah,
the things
yeah.
that she was going through, uh, it's like, man, I'm watching my sister die for real. You know,
Mm,
when the lupus was in remission, it was all fun and games. But when it came back and it hit hard and and it broke her down and she was in the hospital, man, that was it was something, bro, to see your siblings' eyes glued shut and to
wow,
see them
wow.
saying that, listen, she's not gonna make it, and to see my mama go through that process. This is one of those things again where I can't. My whole testimony is not mine alone to be woe is me, where I had to
Yeah.
look at it like, man, my mama had to make that decision. You know, even
Mm,
saying that now, I'm thinking when my mom sees this, how's it gonna make her feel all over again? You know, so it's like she had to make that decision, and me going in there on that last. I remember going in there on on that last day, bro, and being like, my sister passed the day after her birthday. And I remember
mm.
going in there. That's why I always remember when she passed. I remember going in there and telling my mama at least let her make it through her birthday. And when I remember saying that, and then I remember us like leaving through that day. She through her eyes being glued shut. She opened her eyes, and it was like, man, she opened her eyes, and
Wow.
like I remember tears running down her face that day, and
Mm,
as we went through that day, we just all wanted to see close. My aunties and my cousins, they came up here from Baton Rouge, and we all just wanted to be close to her. And
mm.
when we went home that night to finally get some rest, they called her. She passed. She spent her whole birthday with us, and like it was like, okay, I'm going home, you know. And
Mm.
I just bro. I'm just thankful for the times we had. I laugh about the memories now. You ask like back to where we are. When you ask how was it, man? That point in time was hard, bro. Even telling it just then,
Yeah,
it's like, man,
yeah,
to you have to visualize it, you know, to tell it. That's why I say
yeah, yeah.
it's one of those things, man. But growing up, bro, we had fun. We played. I was hard headed. I ran all through the streets. I was a fighter. So I got kicked out of almost all the schools. If I wasn't kicked out, I was suspended all the time. I went to Jackson Middle School, and I'll never forget. I went to Jackson Middle School, and the principal called my mama one day and said he whooping my sixth graders. He whooping my seventh graders, and now he just beat up one of my eighth graders. And I was in the sixth grade. That was before I came to Clover. Yeah. So it was like my mom was like, "Please, we're about to move. Just suspend him, but we're about to move, and you won't have to deal with him no more." You know, I, I, my uncle, like you asked that question earlier, how do you end up with? I had that mentality anyway, coming from Baton Rouge, because my uncle, wherever we went, he was gonna tell you, my nephew whoop your nephew. I bet you my nephew whoop your nephew.
Mm,
And I'll be in there fighting, tears rolling. I'm fighting the next door neighbor. I go over their house. Guess what? The next door neighbor, Whoever win, I give you a dollar. It's the '80s, man. Whoever win, I
Yeah,
give
it's
you a
a
dollar.
that dollar went a long way.
A
That
dollar went
dollar
a
went
long
a
way. The
long way.
ice cream truck come by, I'm the champion. Listen, I don't whoop you,
Yeah,
and
that
I'm gonna
dollar.
eat ice cream in front of you.
Yeah, that dollar go a long way back
Yeah.
then, boy. Quarter get you a lot, boy.
Yeah. So I'm going to the store. I'm going to the ice cream truck. So anytime I load up with one of my uncles or my cousins or the neighbor, that's the thing. So I grew up with that fighting spirit. I remember my grandmother saying, again, when you said my mama, I remember her saying, that boy got a fighting spirit on him. Good Lord, they're gonna have to break him.
Mm,
And that was her
mm,
thing. Like, I'm gonna have to break him. Cause listen, he gonna
yeah.
fight at the drop back. I will fight back for a whooping. If you was an adult and you tried to whoop me, I'll try to fight back. I try to
Mm.
like that's how I was when I was younger. So yeah, there it from one from
Yeah. It was when you talk about your grandmother, and you made me think about my grandmother. And my grandmother, was a anchor of the family. You know,
yeah.
she really she really was the anchor of the family, man. And when you talk about your grandmother and some of the things as you recollect with her, made me think about my grandmother. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know if your grandmother's still living or not, but it was hard for me, when my grandmother passed, man. That was hard for me, because I think it did something with the family. Like it seemed like all of us was connected under the banner of my grandmother. And soon as my grandmother passed, I don't know. It's like we got divided.
Yep.
It was no more like the family dinners, or like, every summer we there,
Yeah.
every weekend we there, and so it just reminded me when you talked about your grandmother. It reminded me, because it seems that, and correct me if I'm wrong,
You no,
that your
you
grandmother played a
absolutely
pivotal role.
both sides of the family like that. Both my big mama and my mama. My mama is my mama's mama. My big mama is my daddy's mama. And like even in the country like
Mm,
that, when I was younger, part of that, like, now I don't mind working. I never mind working. I was growing up, and even as a kid, I got my first job when I was like 14 years old, bro. And even before then, I dragged a lawnmower around the neighborhood and cut grass and stuff. So I was always gonna hustle, but that came from being around like my big mama and my mama, like the way they work. My big mama and my big daddy too. I would go shovel stables with my uncle Robert. I go shovel stables in the country. My daddy's side from the country, my mama's side from the city. So I go shovel stables and
yeah.
and, and pick potatoes and stuff, and be out there with my grandmother. I once told y'all a story about my big mama, about me stepping in the ant pile, and her giving me a life lesson. Baby, when it get hot and heavy, don't panic. When you panic, you make things
Mm,
worse. I stuck my foot in
mm,
the ant pile, and I got to dancing and jumping around like a fool, and the ants tore me up. She took her shoe off, stuck her foot in the same ant pile on purpose that was already hot from me, and brushed each ant off calmly, and didn't have one bite on her. That was
wow.
that was a life lesson to me. When it get hot and heavy, baby, don't panic. You know,
Boy, that'll say that. Boy, that say something right there, boy.
that's who she was.
That's
That's what
spirit.
I'm telling you.
Boy.
That's who she was. Like, anything could be a life lesson. Like, you can learn from her. Anything could be a life
Mm,
lesson. But like what you were saying, when they passed, it was the same thing in our family. Like, everybody would some of the get-togethers, and the I used to always go then. I go to my big mama house during the summer, or I go to mama house. Well, my mama passed when I was 12, so coming down to
mm,
that side of the family and having a place set for everybody to come together when, you know, uh, some of my uncles are going to jail, some of my older cousins are going to jail, my aunties work for the state, and my uncle was a police officer, and so it's like everybody not mixing the same no more. This the place where
yeah.
everybody come, as me and my wife call our house. Our house is Switzerland. Don't come over here with nothing, none of
Mm,
your mess, none of that count. it's family time. This our house is neutral house. We'll squash everything. And it's like you kind of lose that place, that foundational place at 12. So it's like that side of the family I lost time with then like that. My time that I got back with them was honestly when I got older, when I started getting in trouble and I started getting locked up. I was getting those fights, like I
Mm,
said. And when I got to high
yeah.
school, every summer I get locked up. Right after football season, I get locked up. I get in trouble. Get into a fight and get assault charge, assault with bodily harm, because I was fighting different, because I was mad, I was angry. I didn't feel like I had the same attention. I'm getting in the streets. I'll never forget one of my stepdad, his auntie, our Amy, she one day we was in the yard and she say, boy, that old black thing act just like old penitentiary. Like that's how that was what when she looked at me, she said I act just like them. When I fought, my partners said, bro, you fight just like the dudes in the penitentiary. And because I just
Mm,
had a different mean streak about me back then. And it was bro, I just was I one thing led to another. Anger builds a lot. Me and you talked about this before. Like, bro, we were
yeah.
one and the same and didn't even know it. The spirit that the
Yeah.
spirit that'll
And I,
jump on us.
yeah, and you know what, man? I was just thinking about that, and I mean, we're gonna get into that. I want to ask you a question
Mm-hmm.
about being when you were in the streets and having that foundation. Do you remember a time or a situation where you can tell us about how the streets and that like God maybe said something to you and it saved you in that instance or it saved you in that moment or was something that, you know, of how and what brought, like some of the things that you experienced where you like there was a voice or somebody or something that now God showed you later, but now you're able to see, man, that was God during that time. Is there,
I
it was
remember it
that,
then.
people,
I,
mm,
I remember it then. That's what I always tell everybody. 20 years ago is when my experience with God, knowing God for myself, really started. Over 20 years ago. It's like probably about 22, 23 years ago. My daughter was being born, and I was just stressed about her being born, and I was still running the streets. I was still hustling, and I remember it was some things going on, man. I had gotten to it with it. I had
just, man, your phone paused on us. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Hold on. All right, okay, Drex. Okay, I thought I lost you. What's up now? Go ahead,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
But yeah, just getting back to where we were, man. I was at a point in my life, man, where like, my daughter was being born, my firstborn, Jayla, she was being born, and I was just stressed about everything, man. And I had gotten to some stuff in the streets. I was low key. I was partying and stuff, and I was popping pills and all of that. Not like just like addicted, like, but just like here and now. It only happened like 3 or 4 times, but at one point in time, like God just stopped me, like, no, this not for you.
Mm,
I got more. But when He stopped me, bro, I was at a place where my mind was in so much disarray. My big mama was dying at that time, at the same time, and I was at a place where my mind was like in so much disarray, where I remember calling her and talking to her. And this is like a running thing in my family. With my cousin, my older cousin, she said, "Man, Big Mama called me and told me, don't let that boy come down there. That boy is crazy." So it was like it was that
mm.
bad. I was doing that much. To my Big Mama now was like, say, that boy is into some stuff. That boy doing some stuff. I got to a point where I was just wrestling with God, bro. I was wrestling God with so much that my mental was just like unstable, man. And I got to this place, bro, where it was a fork in the road. It was like I remember one time getting into it with a dude, and I just didn't like the way the situation was going, and he had did some stuff, and I caught him in the act of doing some stuff. Bro, I tried to throw him out of one, and I was just getting into it with everybody, and it was escalating. It was escalating bad. It was escalating so bad to the point where I remember carrying a pistol and being like, I guess I'll just take a vacation. It is what that was my thinking about the penitentiary. I take a vacation. I do what I'm doing anyway. I just fighting with it. It is what it is. That's how I thought of it because I didn't want to think about life no more. Trying to figure out how I was gonna make it and how I was gonna do it. I was like, I'll sit down. Before I let them play with me,
Mm.
I sit. That's how the mindset was, not to brag on that like that. But that's how the mindset was, and that's how everybody started to see me. So when Miss happened, like, oh man, say go get DJ. Yeah, they'll call me. Yeah, they'll call me, and it was like that. A lot of my partners, they mamas, they knew that I would protect them. I had partners, one of our close partners, we go with, we talked about yesterday. His uncle told me, man, I knew my nephews was good. One of my other homegirls, her daddy told me, man, I knew that they was good when they was with you. I knew it. I knew it. Everybody knew somebody was good when they was with me, but who was good? Who was I good with? You know what I'm saying? So that's how it
Come on.
started happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you become that person, and then you start to stick to being that person. And before you know it, now this is who I am. So now I'm hustling. I got money. I done bounced back from all of this. God done talked to me now, right? And I done had this moment, and I done sit down. I got to the point where I'm looking at the Bible 8 hours a day. Like I'm, if not longer, I'm just in the Word. And I go homeless. I'm left in the house by myself because I'm tripping so hard. Don't nobody really want to be around me. So I'm left in this house with no lights, no water, and my little buddy, my little bro, Kurt, was literally bringing buckets of water over there and I had a cooler, and I had got some emergency food stamps, and I just kind of like shook back out of it all of a sudden one day, bro. And like when I shook
Mm.
back out of it, it was God, bro. Like he shook me back. I went and took my last little money. I remember giving my last pack to a guy who we stayed with, and my last pack of cigarettes, my little pack that I had that I was selling out of. I gave it to a guy that we was staying with. Like, man, I'm done. And I
Mm.
remember I remember going to Walmart, and I went to Walmart and I bought like this little kit, bro, because I ain't even had no clippers at the time. So I bought this little kit, bro, and I put it on my hair, and I got dressed and I went, bro, and I filled out an application. I did an interview. I got that job, bro, and within
Mm.
like 2-3 weeks, I used to ride my bike 10 miles almost, bro. I used to ride my bike from like uh West Walnut Garland over to Raleigh. It might not be 10 miles, it might be like 6 miles or so. I used to ride my bike every day back and forth. I bought that bike off the rack at the store. I got my first apartment, bro, within like 3 weeks of that shaking back. This how fast God was working and showing me I'll work in your life. And when he shook me back, it's like I developed a faith for him. I developed a understanding of, man, God will do it for you. But I did not truly
Mm.
walk and live for him then. So that's how I still end up
Yeah.
later on catching another case. Because second nature is when it
Yeah.
get hard, man, I go sell this dope. And then everybody else that's around me, they still have that same thought of me. So guess what? They'll send it to me.
Yeah.
They'll give it to me. Whatever I need, I ain't got to come off money off the front. You know, the different places that I can get into, some other people could. So it's like
Yeah.
now
Mm.
that going from faith to faith. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I knew
Yeah.
God now. I
Yeah.
know what He'll do for me. I'm justified. I'm
Yeah.
justified. I'm redeemed in Him. But I ain't living life right. I ain't living. My mama would
Yeah.
always tell me that. Some people hate that right now. That if you tell somebody they ain't living life right, when if they go to church and they don't do right, and say you ain't living right. My mama would tell me that all the time, bro. So it kept me grounded. It kept me thinking about it. So when it did go
Mm,
wrong for me, I reflected on what my
yeah,
mama
yeah,
said. Now people will pacify that. You know, when my
yeah,
wife told
yeah,
me at one point in time, I had got fired from a job, wrongful termination. Remember, I said my second nature. I always turn back to hustling. This is like I
yeah,
know God now. He done shook me back from my mind being out of
yeah,
whack
yeah,
to bringing me out of homelessness to put me in a place. I know him. But my second
yeah,
nature is
yeah,
still this. So
yeah.
now when I'm sitting here and I'm talking and I'm talking to people, I'm talking to people from that experience because my mom would always say, "Boy, you ain't living right. You ain't living right. Yeah, you know God, but you're not living right." And it's like, man, I'm not
Mm,
getting it at that time. Mama, I know God. I'm fighting it, but you're not living right, baby. And every time I end up
mm,
back in a situation, you know, I remember getting fired from this job, like I was saying, and my wife
wow,
looked at me, and she know, like my wife looked at me, and she say,
yeah,
"Baby, I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid because they wrongfully terminated me, right? I done went and did and gave the whole layout on the investigation, and the case got ruled in my favor. And they got to pay me. They got to pay me for up to a year, you know. So I'm sitting on the couch. My wife say, "Baby, you can't keep sitting on the couch. I know you're getting paid, but baby, you can't keep sitting on the couch." One of them things that I don't hear again nowadays. Idle minds, the devil workshop. We used to hear that
mm,
all the time. Everybody's afraid to
yeah,
tell somebody something because we have the cancel culture didn't start as cancel culture. It started with everybody being confident in their sin. With everybody,
mm,
it's even in the church, even in with saved people that like all throughout believers, bro. Believers are struggling nowadays. You know, and
yeah,
that was one of the things that I
yeah,
struggled with, bro. I would always turn if times got hard, man. I turn back to doing worldly things. So that's why my walk don't look like it should look. Like I've been knowing God for this long personally. My wife tell people all the time that, man, no, he been like that. Like I've been praying like this. My daughter
mm,
told her Sunday school teacher, I get my faith from my daddy. You know, my daughter 18 years old.
mm, mm.
And she telling something. So if an 18-year-old, that lets you know how long I've been like this. You know, if they say that,
Me,
you know,
now you said something, man. You said something, man. You said something. That's it's powerful what you said because, man, you said, man, I found myself I'm reading the Bible in the dark. I'm just, and the very thing that spoke to you was the word of correction from your mother.
I
You know,
remembered it.
I say that, yeah, I say that because sometimes it's this thought out there or this ideology out there is that, hey man, while they in that place, don't say nothing of correction to them.
Yeah, yeah,
While they in that place, look, he already going through it
yeah.
enough. Why even add more? But the very thing she bringing was life,
And
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 that's
she
the very
and
thing.
she
There,
loved me, and I know she loved me.
mm,
So when she said it
come
at the
on,
point in
man.
time, I did not receive it. But guess what? When God was working with me, it remember we talking about John's 17.
Yeah,
Just think
yeah.
about it, bro. Where he talks about that coming into sanctification, where Jesus talks about that coming into sanctification, and where he's praying for those that are going to be
Mm,
moving forward to be sanctified and that they experience the glory of God. Like we don't approach God like that no more. People are religious on Sunday, bro, but Monday through Wednesday they're justifying it. Monday through Saturday they justifying the sin, bro. And that's what I was doing. I
yeah.
know it because I was doing it. I know it because I was doing it.
Mm,
And like a lot of times, bro, I speak to people like that. Like that's the anointing, the calling that God has put on my life. That's what my testimony
Yeah.
truly is.
When you remind, man, you said those words, man. I'm gonna share with everybody, man. And I had told, and I shared this with Drex before, but I'm gonna share this with everybody. You know, when we back in high school, me and Drexel got into a fight, and one of the, same as Drex, I love to fight, he loved to fight, but I couldn't. But that day, I remember I couldn't really fight Drexel. Let me tell y'all why. Let me tell y'all why I could not really fight Drexel. I think I was more hurt that because this, and I shared this with Drex. So growing up, how we grew up, man, the fathers wasn't there. Didn't have a lot of people speaking life into us. Didn't have a lot of people speaking, and I'm saying pertaining to seeing the potential. I'm saying like life in that way, like like you see everybody. I remember going through and just give everybody context. We were taken out of areas of that were rough and moved into a suburban type
Yeah,
schools. So it was more predominantly white. So you're going to see a lot of things that we weren't accustomed to seeing. For example, at 16, I think probably about 80% of the school had
yeah.
cars. As soon as they turned 16,
Mustangs and all.
that was
Yeah,
mind blowing to me.
yeah,
Yeah, I barely can get my mama a car, and if that even, even if that's, but so one day, playing sports, and I remember they used to talk about that, even seeing some, they go and play summer league. I'm like, why in the world would I go and play summer
yeah.
league, man? I got to go do some, I got to get clothes for next year. But one day we were freshmen, and you know, I remember like it was yesterday, man. Drex actually was the up and coming man. Drex starting cornerback. They were talking a lot about Drex about what he was doing. And I'm shocked. I'm like, man, Drex really like he really out there. I was a football player, but I went to basketball. And I remember one day it was we had like an open gym,
Mm-hmm.
and Drex was there. Drex was there. And I was doing something, man, something stupid. And Drexel had told me this. He said, bro, why you like, I don't, bro, like, why you always, like, why you be doing that? And Drex had told me these words. He said, bro, you got like so much talent, but like you wasting it. And he told, like, I don't know where, like, I don't know where what made Drexel say that to me. It was, I don't, and I ain't quite sure he remember, but I'm saying when Drexel said this to me, that hit me so hard because nobody ever told me that. Nobody had ever told me that, bro, you got potential. Like, you really could go somewhere with this. Nobody, I mean, my coaches, I mean, they knew it, but they never told. Nobody ever said something to that degree that they believed in me. I never heard nobody tell me that. And so when Drexel told me that, like it really, like it hit me so hard. And it's like that day, I remember like the words was yesterday. I remember it. And it hit me so hard that it made me start seeing Drexel in another light. To where like, I'm like, wow, this dude actually said that to me. Like nobody has ever. I looked at Drexel saying something like that. Like that's what Kim folks say. That's what somebody who like got some love for you for real say. You know what I'm saying? So it hit me really, really hard because nobody ever spoke life into me that they believed in me. And I never let nobody know that. I never let nobody know. Man, I didn't know everybody else talking about what they're going to do out of high school. Man, I never even
Yeah.
thought that far.
Just that part.
Everybody, had that money in there. Man, we on free lunch.
Yeah.
I'm on free lunch in high school. I was so grateful when they let you free lunch and get hamburger
Man.
line instead of getting the regular plate
Man.
lunch line. And so it could be disguised.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying when you told me that, it hit me so hard. So, that summer or whatever time frame when we had a fight, it's like it blew my mind because I couldn't get over what you told me, and then now this happening. And like I really, but because it hit me, that's what I'm saying. It hit me that hard because you're the only person in high school that from that day nobody had ever spoken that they believe in me. Man,
And
I'm
you
just
know
saying, bro.
that's
I
why I
when you
said
said that about
earlier.
your mother,
That's why I said I always been that person with everybody, bro. I always spoke life into people, bro.
mm,
That's why anytime anybody act like I'm not that person, bro, or anybody question my character, it used to be that people would defend my character, just like what you said. It would be a million stories that come like, nah, nah. But I'm because I'm moving around so much and like everything's changed. You everybody growing in life be life. You know, you don't always have that person to say, hey, no, no, that's not him. You know, but when that happened, bro, I felt the same way you felt. But we just never we didn't we had a chance to
yeah,
discuss. We was done with it. We got it out our system.
yeah, yeah,
But we didn't have a chance to
yeah,
discuss how we really truly felt. Like it was immediately over with afterwards because it was like, dang man, we just fought. And the same you
yeah,
thought like the same way you felt like, man, I don't know why Drex wanted to fight me. That's the same way I always felt about you. And you said, man, sometimes, man, I used to be like, man, Drex, but we just had the same fighting spirit. And because we had the same fighting
mm,
spirit, sometimes we'll be around each other and we'll be really just challenge each other. We didn't have a reason to be fighting. That's what people don't know. We just
yeah,
always challenged each
yeah,
other. We be in the art class, bro.
yeah,
If you remember, we be in art class talking noise to each other about what we was in football, who was what in football. Talking about sixth grade
yeah,
game
yeah, yeah,
that happened from when I transferred to
yeah,
y'all school. Like that's
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
did that all the time to each other, and it just led to that fighting spirit just coming up. But I'm just thankful. Like, look what God did. Like you said, starting it all out. Look what God did,
yeah,
bro. Look what God did. Look at
yeah,
the look at your life. Where you went in
yeah,
your life,
yeah,
you know the degree of change that you made in your life. Look at the degree of change in my life. My testimony starts here, and when I tell about the streets and when I tell about all this other stuff, and then we get to talking somewhere else, I go to my wife's boss house and we'll start talking, and he'll pull me in on some logistics stuff, and he'll pull me in on some operation stuff, and we'll be talking. And he does it on purpose because somebody don't know that
mm,
when my wife said get off the couch, I started going and pushing a button on the machine. My cousins that came home from the penitentiary on on some crazy charges. My cousin that came home from the penitentiary, they went and worked at this place, right? We was all selling dope together. They went and worked at this place,
yeah,
and they were running CNC machines. I went and started to run the CNC machines with them because they said, "Come on, look, cuz." It was my big cousin. Come on, look, cuz. I went and run the machines with them. I started running these machines with them, and I started watching the programs run. And one of the guys that was in the military, he was a technician. He said, "You know, you keep watching that machine run, you're gonna learn it." And as I watched it run, he started to point out what it was doing, what it was saying. And I looked over at him. I said, "Man, that's the math grid." He said, "Nobody's ever picked that up." When I initially just started talking to him about that, nobody's never. I knew what the program was doing because I was able to associate how it was going to points with the math grid. He said that's exactly what it's doing. That's how, and I started learning how to write programs. So when I learned how to write programs, when I got fired from the one job, I trained, I taught my other cousin how to do it. And he told one day we had this laugh that this story we laugh about all the time. As I was teaching him after we went to another job in aerospace and stuff, like this how God did me. I caught cases, and then he took me and had me working in these fields and erased everything. But I'm teaching my big cousin, right? And my big cousin look over at me, he tell me, "Man, let me find out you smart." I told him, I said, "Man, I never told you I was dumb." So
funny.
so we just laughed. Like I guess I had did enough dumb stuff around him though, just being a fool. But I went on to another place, bro. When my wife, after I got laid off at this job, and my wife told me that, man, I went to this place, bro, and the boss was like, he didn't read my resume when I came in. They hired me just to throw somebody in the spot, and he was when he came over one day, and I was running the machine. They were operations, but I had been a programmer. So he just wanted me to push the button, pull the part off, slide it down. but I couldn't help but read the
Mm.
machine. So I'm reading the computer, and I'm reading the program as it's going. And one day he comes over there. He said, "This guy's slow." This is what he says in front of everybody. "This guy's slow." And he pulls me off the machine and he throws me over on the on the assembly line. Just put parts in and move and move them. And I'm like, I didn't say nothing to him. I just used to look at him stupid every time he came over because I thought I was gonna punch him. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking at
yeah,
him
yeah.
crazy every time he come over. And one day it's funny. The machine goes down, and I walk over to the machine, and I say it's down because it's dropping the code, it's dropping the parameter. He says, "What do you know about that?" And this day I fired up on him. I said, "You didn't read my resume. You obviously didn't read my resume, or otherwise it would have told you that I was a programmer and not a machine operator. That's why you think I'm slow, because I was watching the program to make sure it was running right, that the machine wouldn't crash, because that's how machinists are trained." And
Mm.
he said, "Well, fix it then." I went over and fixed it. And he said, "Oh,
Wow.
my God." He was a tanker in the Army. He said, "Oh, my God. That's some shit. That's job security right there." But he still didn't like that he couldn't put fear in me. And he was a big dude. So he would always try to handle me. And they brought another guy in, another big dude, and nobody liked him and nobody would help him. But with me, every job that was in the shop, I had to learn, because every time I asked somebody for a part, they had a culture where they would just go and, "Man, I don't know, man. Figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out." So I was reading blueprints, and I was
Wow.
reverse engineering parts and stuff like
Wow.
that, and working the machines while he didn't know. He comes in one day and he says, "Why don't we have these parts?" I said, "We've been not having those parts. I've been making them." He said, "What do you
Mm.
mean you've been making them? We ordered those from the factory." I said, "No, I've been using your scrap metal, and I've been cutting them out, and I've been going over here and I've been making them because I read the blueprint and I put the steps in there." He's like, okay, keep making them." So after he says this, and they hired this other guy and nobody help him, the guy starts to ask questions, and I'm the only one that can answer. After I answer him for so long, at this point in time, bro, I'm riding my bike because my car is broken down. I'm riding my bike again to a job.
Mm.
Do you know, man, in 6 months of that job, and our brother Chris Nelson can vouch for this. He worked the deal for my first house. Bro, I went from I got like 5 raises, bro. I went into another tax bracket. Chris said this is unheard of. He said you are no longer eligible for the program, for the first time buyers program, because you make this much now. Because every time a promotion came up, God made me that guy. And I
Mm.
preference God made me that guy, because you're talking about somebody that just months before I only went to go get my GED because I didn't graduate because of everything that was going on. I only went to go get my GED because I was trying to get a job as a technician, because the technician that had taught me how to read programs had told me how good of a job it was. But it didn't work
Wow.
out like that. And I went to this job, but that's how God worked in my life. But I started
Mm.
to depend on those blessings to get back to where we were talking about. How do you get
Yeah.
stuck in just the mode of justification? Or how do you get stuck in just the mode of, in that loop of, okay, God will do it for me, but you're not living for him?
Yeah, man. Man, look, we finna get ready to have to end, but I want it because I'm not. I told y'all, man, I had these brothers on, I have to bring them back because I really, man, because you said with your job and some of those things, it just a powerful, 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 man. How like what I'm gonna call what's kind of like insignificant,
Hmm.
insignificant. The very thing that God used that you just looking at this machine, paying attention to it,
Hmm.
how that later, like, I don't think, that's just so powerful because how God can take something and we don't really understand what God be doing in our life, and something that seems so insignificant be the very thing that God want to use. And because you honored him with it. Like that's, I don't know, bro. That's powerful to me, bro.
But you know something that was crazy? My auntie Sheila and my auntie Renee, they call me their math and science baby. My auntie Renee had just passed. When I went to summer school, when I went back to Louisiana, to the country, I went to summer school. My auntie Renee that just passed, she was my teacher. She was a principal. That's why I say my family is mixed. These women are educators, accountants, missionaries, evangelists. You know, I don't come from a family that is just like one sided. So that's how it's like. I think God just groomed me where I can be an understanding person, and then I at the same time He could use me. He cleaned me like that vessel, like Paul talked about in 2 Timothy 21. You know,
Yeah.
I'm that vessel, and he can use me. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, just to that degree. My auntie, I always did flashcards. My mama's side, my mama would do flashcards for me every day. I used to get tested to get skipped up a grade to go into a higher grade when I was younger, because I could do like 100 math problems within like a minute and a half or something like that. Like it was real fast, and that's what the boss at the job that didn't like me. That's what he would say. Come here, computer. He would call me in the office and have me do math, and it would blow his mind because I would do math like that. I trained a guy that came out of Richland College, a young kid, and as I was training him, I was typing in the math for a robo the processing pads that were going on the robo knots to the moon for NASA. And as I was doing this, you see how my life has a lot of different how you sell dope. You don't graduate from a high school. You run an operation for a Fortune 500 company. You're
Yeah.
working on
Yeah.
stuff for NASA. That's people like, man, how? But it ties together in my testimony. But I trained this little kid, and the little kid said, "Did you just do all that math while you were talking to me?" And I was like, "Yeah." That's how I knew to tell you what I told you that day,
Mm.
because somebody told Coach Goss told it to me.
Oh,
He pulled
Coach
me in the
God.
bathroom, broke his watch, mad at me because he was trying to push it to me. Coach Kuntz was trying to tell me this. Back my high school coaches, man, I can say that they tried to tell me. The ones that
Yeah.
really work with me, that like you said, a lot of people don't know that they were talking about moving me up my freshman year, but I got locked up fighting,
Yeah.
and
You was
it messed up everything.
yeah, I remember your name, man. Your man. Look, man, we finna. I mean, I got about a couple minutes
We got
before we have
yeah,
to end this
yeah.
thing. So, man, look, let me
We'll
say
do
this.
part
So,
two.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we got to. So, before we got a minute. What would you like when your testimony of your life? You got a minute. What would you like to tell everybody before we get up off this thing? The testimony of your life. What would you like everybody to take away?
Man, the testimony of my life, bro. I would like to let me tell you what, that I love the Lord for one, and that I really truly love the Lord. Like not just like not for the blessings that He gives me, not for the things that He's made me overcome, but just that He created me, and that through seeking Him, I've learned to appreciate the glory of who God is, as
Mm.
far as how He's intentional, you know, and that I allow Him to use me like for real. Like some people, not and no, I won't do that. Not some people, not a comparison thing. As a believer, I don't want to be a believer that's just nominal, surface level. And I would push and anybody to look at their lives and look at that if they are justifying their sin, and if they are scared to walk and live in a sanctified life, you know, that where they really allow God to use them. If I talk to you and it's too much God for you, that's probably a problem, bro, because I love
Yeah.
the Lord so much. Anytime anybody talk to me about God, I'm appreciative of it. I'm fellowshipping in it. Like I will not fake the assembly,
Yeah.
forsake the assembly. You know?
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to know. From my testimony, that's how God has grown me. You know,
Okay.
and I'm continuing to grow.
Nah, that's good, man. And you know what? And I'm just saying, man, we're gonna have a part two. I told y'all, man, this brother get into it. He reminds me, as we finna close this thing out, the Lord speak about those who have been forgiven much, love much. And that's what I see with your life, that you have this culmination of different things. That's why so many aspects. I wrote down a lot of questions I didn't even get to, just about different aspects about you spoke about forgiveness, death of a sibling, just all these things, being homeless. There's so many things and aspects. So just it's just a beautiful thing. But we got to get back to this. We got to get back to this. But brothers, sisters out there that y'all heard this, I pray that y'all encouraged by my brother today, and just a testimony to show the goodness of God on earth. not just for us, but to help you get through. So as we always end this thing, we got that testimony. We got that testimony.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, now God bless y'all. God bless y'all. Live at 5. We out of this thing. If you have any question, anything, hit us up. God bless.
God